McFarlane Color Tops put out some figures just a little over a year ago. Some of the collectors received some really awesomely sculpted, 7-inch tall figures. The trade-off, though, was a lack of any useful articulation. I didn't purchase any of those figures. Now, what's come out since has been a pilot, a Jack Cooper figure, as well as a bad guy named Blisk. I didn't purchase either one of those figures. Looking at them, seeing the lack of articulation, it wasn't a figure. Neither of those figures really appealed to me that much. I like the robotic type figures. I like the Titans themselves. So what I'm looking at here is the Titanfall 2 Jester figure. This figure, where Jack Cooper represented the main hero that you played during the campaign, the Jester is a game character that's most recognized in the multiplayer. It's one of the tactical pilots. So the Jester comes with a phase shift. It's a sort of a time rewind in the game. I prefer the rapid running benefit of the stem, which is another robot class that's not much different than this one. The look is defined by this mono-eyed head, these blade legs that are just below the ankle, and then a fanny jump pack, and then obviously the gear that's tacked on all over the figure itself. McFarlane Toys really nails these features on this figure sculpture. There's a lot of detail. It's unique, personalized touches, including the Jester's head, the dangling animal tails on the back that kind of represent the kill marks. The wiring that's not stiff. I mean, the wiring actually moves around on the figure, so that's really detailed. I like that. As far as the weapons, the Jester comes armed with the G2A5 semi-automatic battle rifle that fits very comfortably in a two-handed firing pose. It also comes with the SA3 Mozambique pistol that pegs onto the thigh. You can have the Jester figure hold the sidearm. There is a peg that you might think is permanently mounted into the handgun, but it's not. You can pull that peg out and actually have the figure hold it. That way you don't have the peg sticking out the side. So that's a good update that they don't have permanently fixed pegs on these. A really cool addition to the Jester Color Tops figure is the flight display base. So it has a steel rod and a removable jump pack that fits onto the back of the figure. It also supports the metal rod so that you can give the figure this look of a jump, or that he's boosting with the rocket pack. Now, I don't display it with the rockets themselves or with the flames coming out. The figure itself, if you're in the game, you don't have to use the rocket pack to get a high jump. So I prefer to display it without that. Now, the figure does have these really spindly legs. They're oddly shaped feet. And some people think that the base is required to make him stand, but he will stand in a variety of poses. You got to find the right balance. You have to articulate the feet a little bit. You can get him to stand without the base. Again, he will fall eventually. A gust of wind, the air conditioning kicking on, something like that, a slight vibration in the floor or desk, he will fall over. So I do prefer to have him mounted to the display stand. That does secure him. However, the display stand is it's very lightweight. There's no weight to it whatsoever. So if you don't have it properly balanced, then it's going to tip over. So what I ended up doing was just bending the rod slightly back just a little bit, and you can see that really helps him stand. It's more supportive. There's no balance issue. I'm not worrying about it possibly tipping over. So as I mentioned, the Jack Cooper figure, the reason I didn't get that figure was because of its stiff articulation, I guess, or lack of articulation. This Jester figure is not like that. The Jester features some ball jointed shoulders, upper swivel in the bicep, hinged elbows, swivel wrist, ball jointed thighs, hinged knees. The feet hinge as well. There is a slight head swivel. It's really stiff at first. You do have to try to shift it back and forth a few times for it to loosen up. It kind of still looks down slightly. You can't get that to look up, so he does have this downward look to it. But there is no waist swivel. That's kind of disappointing because, again, if you could get that swivel to work at the waist, you could get him to stand much easier than trying to rely on trying to get the feet and the legs just perfect and then having it fall over. The sculpt on this figure is impressive. I really do like the sculpt overall. Starting with the head and working your way down, the head looks good, the weathering looks good, the paint is complete. The antennas are slightly bent, and I don't want to try to move those antennas at all because I'm sure that they will easily break off. I'd prefer to have them on and slightly bent than not at all. The neck wrap looks really good. It looks natural. The color looks good. It looks natural as well. It is tied to the head, so if you do move the head or swivel the head at all, that is tied in together. Other than that, the arms as you come down, the shoulders look really good. There are a lot of paint detail went into the arms, the forearms. There's a slight cover. The gloves look really good as far as wrapping around and holding the rifle. The paint on the figure overall looks really good, and I don't feel like any of the paint bleeds over into another part. There's no, overpaint. Everything looks like it was individually painted and then assembled. Um, Coming down the legs, again, the color looks good. It's not shiny. It's a matte finish. Everything looks really good there. It does look like there's some slight weathering to the metal material. The shotgun rounds that are on the way are wrapped around the upper thigh. I believe that's what those are, as well as the leg holster that holds the Mozambique pistol. Looks really good. The pistol does fit into that leg holster, but for me, and in this figure in particular, it swivels a little too easy. You do have to really press it in there, and even then it still swivels, and there's really nothing you can do about that unless you add some sort of glue or something like that to thicken it so that it won't rotate. The articulation in the knees is great. As you come down, the knee pads are painted. There is a number 5 or an S on the left knee pad and this red type of triangle on the other knee pad. As you come down to the steel rods that make up the ankle, I don't really like the color on those. I may try to adjust that slightly. I'm not really sure why I don't like it. They're really shiny. I'd have to go back into the game and really look at that to see if that's something that it really looks like. I mean, apparently this was the figure was modeled after a 3D rendering directly from the game, so I'm sure that that's pretty accurate. But there is like a mold line straight down the middle of that. Doesn't look very good, and it may be worth trying to slightly shave some of that down and then put some paint on it. The feet blades look great. They are weathered with the silver material or with the silver paint. Looks really good. They do articulate, which you know can really add to the look whenever you have it kind of jumping through the air. However you want the feet, kind of planted or looking. Again, helps slightly whenever if you're trying to stand it up without the stand, but I don't think honestly you're going to get it to be in a permanent position standing that's going to be well balanced enough for it to actually stand for a long period of time. There are flames that come with the figure, as I mentioned earlier, that will attach to the jetpack. I don't display it with that. I don't think it looks that great. I've had people look at it and say, what are the big blue things coming out? Well, it's supposed to be flame. Oh, I see what it's supposed to be now. It just doesn't look natural to me, so I don't display it with that. Overall, I'm very pleased with the figure. I think the figure looks really good, especially for the price. I mean, you're looking at probably a $20 price point for these. You can get them on Amazon, eBay. There's several places that you can pick these up for around 20 bucks. Usually, depending on where you go, you're going to get free shipping as well, or very reduced shipping. It's a very lightweight figure, so shipping is going to be very minimal if you do have to pay for it. I don't see where I can really make any improvements to this figure as it stands. There are just some slight things that I might do around the ankles that I might make it look a little bit better, but straight out of the box, it looks great. Again, there's really not much you can do to improve on this. I think McFarlane has made some significant changes and updates in regards to their color top figures, and I'm proud to have this one.